Welcome, monks and mamas, to another exciting episode of the Change Your Perspective podcast. And I'm your host, Mwanza Msonda. So you guys had missed us. We are gone, but now we are back. And I know you guys can see who I'm with. I'm with the one and only Mr. Bright J. Ngalamika. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the viewers.
Of course. So you guys already know the gist by now. You understand what we're doing here. You understand everything that's going on. We are just about to get into the life of Mr. Bright Ngalamika. We're getting into his story. We're going to understand what made him who he is and everything he's doing. And before we even go any further, you guys can see this is not our usual location. We are at the food hub, yeah?
Yes.
So
welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit about the food hub. Let's start from there.
I think the food hub, from the name itself, you can tell what kind of business we are into.
Yeah.
And I think I would love to mention that this is a student movement.
Yeah.
So this is basically just a place where we make student livelihood to be easier. And
it's a youth movement.
It's a youth movement.
Yeah, that is true.
Yes.
That is true. Now it's amazing. This place is actually very beautiful. I like the aesthetic.
Thank you so much.
I like the aesthetic. But yeah, so without wasting much time, friends, let us get into the conversation. But being a very patriotic student, I'm sure both of us are patriotic citizens. We can't go forward without acknowledging the fact that our country just lost its 60th president, former president Edgar Chagwa Lungu. So may his soul rest in peace. Yes. So we just want to make mention that this episode is being recorded even as the country is in mourning, you know. So with that being said, we want to pay our respects to the family and friends.
Yes.
I don't know if you have anything to say concerning that.
Yeah, I think it is important that we send the respect to our former Republican president.
Yeah.
I think it was a shocking news to the entire nation. Nobody obviously expected it.
No one expected it.
I mean, death is there.
Yeah.
And we appreciate him for the massive contribution to the growth of this country. So basically, from my end and on behalf of Food Hub, yes, we are so grateful for the contribution that is contributed to the nation, and we'll carry on with the great works. Yes.
Yeah, amazing. So, Mr. Bright, Umulopa. Let's start from there. Yeah, where did that name come from? What prompted you to have that name?
I think this name came from Kawe.
Uh-huh.
After I completed my grade 12, I started working for Choppies. I was a bakerman.
Okay.
That was in 2018, yes.
Yeah.
So when I was working for Choppies, I was doing music in Kawe. I used to do music. I used to call the type of music that I was doing that reality hip hop.
Reality hip hop.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us a freestyle?
Unfortunately, I forgot the
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was doing music, I was calling myself Kawe DNA.
Yeah.
Black BJ.
Yeah.
So I was people from Choppies started calling me the bride of Kawe, the bride of Choppies.
Yeah.
Then eventually the Umulopa came
about.
And it is just a name basically to represent loyalty, originality. We say you have the origin or maybe the blood lineage of maybe the Kaunda.
Yeah.
That's where we come from. So Umulopa Wapakawe, that's how the name came from. And when I joined CBU, I started calling myself Umulopa CBU.
Umulopa CBU, yes. Of course.
So it's all about loyalty and where I'm coming from. Yeah.
No, it's important. As humans, they say a tree cannot grow without its roots.
Yes.
So literally, what makes us is our roots, where we come from.
Definitely.
That's what shapes us. No, that's important. So you made mention you grew up in Kabwe.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about that early life. How was your life coming? Your situations coming up? Were you coming from a well-to-do family? Let's get into that. Where were you born? And let's have a conversation about it.
I was born in Kabwe.
Yeah.
I was born in Kabwe. Yes. Raised by a single mother.
Okay.
My father died when I was 7 years somewhere.
Unfortunately, my condolences.
I was young. Yeah. So there, life started.
Yeah.
That's when life started when my father died. And I wouldn't say I come from a well-to-do family. No, I come from a family where we believe in hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my mom, she's so hardworking, and she's always been so inspiring. So she was a marketeer, a street vendor, hustling and hustling. I started my preschool there, my primary school, up to my high school.
Yeah.
Then after that, that's when I started working for Choppies, and then came to CBU.
Oh, okay. So when you started working at Choppies, did you need any requirements, any experience or something?
The truth of the matter is that jobs are hard to find in Zambia.
Yeah.
But then someone was working there.
Okay.
Yeah. So that person, I approached the person. I said, "Oh, okay. I'm done with school and I have nothing to do, and I need to be." When I started working for Choppies, I went there with the motive of raising money for my music.
Okay. Yes, so you took it very seriously as a career.
Because I knew that when you're starting, you need resources as an artist.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to pay the DJs for a studio session.
Yeah.
So the motive was, let me start working so that I start making money for the music, and I can also be sustaining myself and throw a little bit of peanuts to the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's how I started. But I knew someone there. And that person assisted me with getting the
job.
Yeah.
No, that is good. You made mention of the fact that you attended a couple of schools. Which schools did you attend in Kabwe?
My latest school in Kabwe was Kabwe Secondary School. Then I went to Mwanshi Primary School. I went to Jack and Ju private school. Yeah. Yeah, I think I attended to about 3 schools in Kabwe.
Oh, okay. No, that is good. When you were coming up, as obviously an up and coming artist, let's talk about that a bit. So, who are your inspirations at that point? Who are you looking up to say, these people, this is where I wanted to be?
Right. So, when I was growing up, obviously we were listening to music from the Copperbelt.
Yeah.
I think that was Makitu,
yeah.
Pilato.
Yeah.
But again, I was exposed to Tupac at a tender age.
Yeah.
So I started learning about Tupac. I think I had a lot of portraits in my room for Tupac. And, at some point, I started calling myself Tupac. So I also appreciated I would say their beliefs. And their philosophies, the people, the Tupac and the likes.
Yeah.
So after I appreciated that, I started living up to more like the same beliefs.
Yeah.
So after that, I also because I knew what was the motive of Tupac behind his songs.
So that's where reality hip hop came out.
Yes. So from there, I had to put my pieces together and I came up with a reality hip hop music. Yes.
No, that is amazing. Within the Zambian industry, there are a lot of prominent figures who are from Kabwe. Yes. Within the Zambian entertainment, music, even just the political world, a lot of figures from Kabwe. And I like something. One thing about Kabwe is that it really produces people who
prominent
people who actually step up to do the job. Magnet is from Kabwe.
Definitely.
Yeah. Brian Chanda also from Kabwe. Yes. Your boy Max from Kabwe. J Max from Kabwe. And that's one thing I love about Kabwe.
Yes.
So what are some of the lessons you picked up growing up in Kabwe?
Kabwe, I would say it's a ghost town. So it's hard to make some coins.
Yeah.
You get. So when you're growing up in Kabwe, actually, if you can make it in Kabwe, then you make it anywhere. You get.
Yeah.
Because the economy isn't as good as these other parts like Lusaka, Kitwe. So growing up in Kabwe, I think one thing you have to be tough.
Yeah.
You have to be hardworking.
Yeah.
And if you look at all these people that you've mentioned, Yomaps is a hard worker.
Yeah.
He spends most of the night in the studio.
Yeah.
You get. Because I've worked with Yomaps to mention.
Oh, for
I worked with Yomaps when I was doing my music.
Yeah.
But then it was
that goes way back, huh?
Yes, that was in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it was signed under Bollywood music. So
I remember listening to his story and he talked about Bollywood.
Yes. So that was in Choma. was working with Casbits. There's a guy, a producer now called Casbits.
Yeah.
And we used to be neighbors with Casbits.
Yeah.
So Casbits introduced me to Bollywood, and we started recording there. And I remember sometimes you'd go maybe around 16. Maybe your maps is there recording, and from 16 maybe up to 24 hours.
Yeah.
You just waiting for him to finish, then you also have an opportunity to do record. Yeah. So I think growing up in Kawa has actually taught me to be a hard worker.
Yeah.
You have to work. You have to put in the work. Yeah, definitely.
No, that is true. That's beautiful, actually. You know, it's very few people or very few towns within Zambia that produce people as masses as Kabwe has.
Yes,
I'll tell you, a town in Lusaka is like a part of Lusaka is material also.
Yes.
Material for some reason has produced
a number of
prominent people.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is actually one of those towns. Yeah. So now coming up to, let's say, grade 12. Yeah. How many points did you get per grade 12?
Grade 12 diamond points. I think I had it should be 8.
Yeah.
8. We're talking below 10.
My brain boxers. No, that is good.
10.
Yeah. So after grade 12, you worked for Choppies for a year.
And I think because in our time when you finish your grade 12, you couldn't come direct to CBU.
Yeah,
so
you had to wait.
There was that gap here. I think 1 year and some months. 1 year, 7 months somewhere.
Yeah.
So all that time I spent it waiting for Choppies. Yes.
So what was the transition when for coming to CBU? Did you have to apply for a loan or what? Just take us through that process for coming.
Yeah, definitely. I applied for a student loan, and fortunately, I was awarded 100%.
Wow! Congratulations!
Thank you. And I think the story was, it was that kind of a situation whereby if you're not given 100%, you won't come.
Yeah, it was a bit tough.
Yeah. But then, fortunately, I was given 100% sponsorship, and I remember, I think I left Choppies on a Friday, and Monday we were opening here.
Yeah.
Hey. So I resigned there and came here, and that's how CBU life started.
Okay. Did you apply to any other university other than CBU? Or in your mind, you just not there for CBU?
No. I applied at Unza. Except I didn't like Lusaka very well because Kawa and Lusaka, they are nearby. So most of my family members are in Lusaka. So I didn't wanted to know Copperbelt.
Yeah.
So when I was getting it, and I think Copperbelt, they were admitting earlier than Lusaka. So I was accepted at CBU, and I was like, no, I just want CBU.
Okay.
And that's how I came here.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's amazing. That is amazing. So when you came to CBU, at the point you came to CBU, what program did you opt to study, and did you proceed to go ahead to study that program or something happened?
When I was coming to CBU, I wanted to do medicine.
Yeah.
Obviously, my family, everybody wanted me to be a doctor, you see.
Yeah.
So when I came to CBU, I was a non-quota. I did my non-quota, and I think I made it to School of Medicine under BDS, that's Bachelor's in Dental Surgery. Yeah. Then along the way, I started falling in love with student politics.
Yeah.
And I analyzed the grounds for main campus and School of Medicine.
Yeah.
So after I appreciated one concept, say no, you can only have the COBUSU thing, or the influence and the likes when you're at the main campus. So, and also I did some research about School of Engineering. And I was like, I think I would have to go to School of Engineering so that I remain at the main campus and obviously pursue other careers like maybe politics and other things. So that's how I decided to apply for. I started the change of program. Yeah. It took me some time. I started attending classes minus being quoted in engineering.
Yeah.
And eventually I was quoted in School of Engineering, and that's how I joined Bank 2. Yeah. And
that's how you're here. Yes. No, that's amazing. That's good. That is good. So at the time you fell in love with student politics, when was that time? Was it in first year? Was it in second year?
My first year.
Yeah?
In my first year.
That's quite early, I'll tell you.
The reason being, I stayed with Monglais. I don't know if you know him. Muviana Sininda. He used to be a student here. Yeah. So I was exposed to student politics at a tender age in my first year. Started learning about student politics. And I was really inspired by Lawrence Kasonde, Tim Mukaya, and all those things. So after I got interested, then I got close to Monglais because he was also in student politics. So he started teaching me about student politics, about CBU politics, and from there, that's how I said, no, one day I need to be the COBUSU president.
Yeah, you had the dream.
I told myself, I think that was end of first year.
Yeah.
I said, no, one day I need to be the COBUSU president.
Yeah.
End of first year. And started working on it.
Yeah.
Started positioning myself strategically and started working on it. I think Mongrel really helped me. It taught me about some of the things that I need to work on, my Christian life.
Yeah.
You need to have a team, a football team that you support.
Yeah.
You need to join associations, societies.
Yeah.
You need to obviously belong to a certain group of students.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from there, I started mingling with different people, and that's how. And not only that, I think even in my first year, I was so active on Facebook.
Yeah.
I think I was one of the few first years who are known in the mighty
CBU group.
Well, I was so influential. I used to comment on sensitive matters. I remember that time, and I remember when Lawrence and other in Shaka, we had Shaka. And I remember calling me. You
are not, they didn't recite the student handbook.
No. Yeah, so from there, I think the Umulopa was known. The Umulopa tag was known on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's from my first year. From the comments, from the posts, and the likes, and the following. In my end of first year, I think I was commenting.
Yeah.
And I think by then we had COVID-19.
True.
COVID-19.
2019
to 2020, somewhere there. Yeah. By then, and that's the time I got more into online thing, because by then we're just doing online classes and the like. So when you wake up, just in your room and on your phone. So most of the time they used to go Facebook, and the Omolopa tag was not known.
Yes. So how do you think how important do you think is like personal branding when it comes to being active in student politics? For that student out there who's dreaming one day I want to become COBUSU president also, how important is branding to brand yourself?
I think branding, I would say it's I think one of the most important things. Whether you want to be a businessman, obviously you have to brand yourself in that line. Whether you want to be a farmer, you want to be a politician, you have to be known to say, okay, when you're branding yourself, it basically means that you're buying people's confidence.
Yeah.
The more you're selling yourself, people have to know you. So I think it's one of the first steps that you have to take as a businessman, as a farmer, as a politician, as a student politician. I would say it's one of the basic fundamental steps that you have to take in anything that you have to do. You have to be known for that. You have to sell yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
And people have to believe in you.
No, that is very true. Yes. When it comes to branding, even in this line that I'm in, media, because there's so many media houses out there, and I had to position myself to say, okay, what I'm doing is this thing called podcasting, and I want to be sharing people's stories. It's different from being a content creator who does comedy.
Yes.
It's different from being a TikToker, and that's what I realized the power of branding, is for me. So it's important that we've talked about that, and you also made mention the fact that when you are in your first year, you are exposed to people like Shaka, Mobiana, Lawrence. Would you say those are some of your mentors when it comes to leadership, student politics?
Yeah, definitely. They have contributed one way or the other. It might be indirect or direct, but for me, Mobiana was more like my personal mentor. And for these others, I just knew them, and I used to look up to them, and I think they inspired me, and they still inspire me.
Yeah. So let's draw back a little. Back in high school, did you have any leadership positions, or you were just?
In high school, I never had any leadership position.
Yeah.
I think in high school I was a leader in some way.
Yeah.
I didn't have a formal position, but I was influential.
Yeah.
I must make mention because I was a bad boy, so to say, and I had a huge following in high school.
Yeah.
I had a lot of guys following me, and I remember at some point being called a lean leader.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that's leadership to some extent, because I influence people, whether in a bad way or in a good way.
That's why I said I'll give an example of why Celeb Super Government. That guy is a really exceptional leader.
Yes.
You see, because he's got a following. People are actually able to buy into his vision.
Yes.
And that's what leadership is all about.
In high school, I was a leader. I think all my life I've been a leader, because I usually always have people behind me, and people like, if I'm not there, things can't happen.
Yeah.
When I'm there, things will happen. So for me in high school, I remember being chased from school for almost 1 year. You get, yeah. I think that was in grade 10. Grade 10, term 2. I think I started attending classes in term 3, end of term 3.
Yeah.
It up to term 1.
What exactly happened that time?
You see, I started chasing money when I was young.
Yeah.
So at my school, they are very strict when it comes to discipline, misconduct, all these other things.
Yeah.
So what I used to do is I used to get pupils from, let's say, would sit at we had an orchard at our school. Behind there was an orchard and there was an office. So like when it's about to be prep time, we used to sit at the office there and ferry students from the school premises to the outside. They were paying us, so that was like a daily activity. We used to make money out of it.
Yeah.
We had the cadets. By then, the cadet force was
quite strong.
Yes,
it was very active.
Cadets and the teachers. But then for us, we had the system of sneaking out of school.
Yeah.
So we used to ferry out female pupils, male pupils, and we used to make money out of that. Yeah. I think that was, we used to charge 5 kwacha or 10 kwacha somewhere there. Yeah. So my friends, one of the, I think there was a day I didn't go to school. Yeah. And my friends were caught.
Yeah.
And then they said, no, the ringleader is, by then I was called BJ Ngaras. BJ from my name,
Ngaras from the son.
Yes. So actually the boss is BJ, and actually the teacher was actually looking for me. He heard that I'm the one who is responsible for that, but then he never had an opportunity to find me. So when I reported for class, I was apprehended, and I was told to purchase, I think, 6 or 7 pockets of cement. That was the punishment. So when I was told to do that, I didn't tell my family at home. And I just continued reporting for classes. Yeah. Then I was being chased every day. When they find me in class, they take me for punishment. We had I've just forgotten the command center, the cadet center. Yeah. I was beaten there. So at last I decided to start staying outside school. Yeah. And I was found at the ground there. Term 1, it happened. Term 2, end of term 3, that's when I told my brother to say, okay, this is the situation at school. Yeah. And I've been missing classes. So we went there, and fortunately, he managed to negotiate, and the pockets were brought to 2 pockets. Yeah. And he funded the whole thing. I managed to buy, and that's how I was brought back into classes. And the end of term 3,
the same term 3.
Yes. The teacher, my teacher, actually the one who found me, we had the teacher was in charge of the cadets. Yeah. He said, this one we should take him to pure classes because it's going to give us challenges. So I was taken to pure classes by force, and that's how I joined the pure class. That was end of term 3. Started putting myself together, and by term 2, grade 11, I think I was on the right track by then. Yeah. Yeah,
that's amazing. I like that you've shared this story. At least now people can say, okay, now this is a leader. He was our leader. And one thing that I've picked up is that sometimes your past didn't define you. You are very mischievous. Yeah, you are very mischievous, but it didn't define who, and you went on to do great things. Yeah, so kudos to that. Yeah, that is very good. So we're still building blocks. Yeah. So now you get into second year. Yeah. What are some of those leadership positions you held after first year? When it comes to within CBU?
I think most of people ask me to say, have you, apart from the COBUSU thing, did you have any position? Yeah. My entire life, I've never been a class rep. Yeah. I've never been a monitor, apart from being a vice monitor when I was in grade 12. Yeah. And also at CBU, I never had any position like this. Secretary General for what? I only started as COBUSU Prime Minister.
Straight up?
Yes.
Straight up?
I never had any position. Yeah.
Okay.
I contested as COBUSU Prime Minister in my 4th year. Yeah. And fortunately, I scoped. Yeah. So no position before that.
Before that. Oh, but you made mention that at the end of first year you had the resolution to say one day I'll become COBUSU president. Yes. That's a dream. That's a vision. How important is it to have a dream for someone out there? Some first year is looking at us now, is watching this podcast and thinking, one day I want to do that thing. So how important is it to have a dream?
I think it's very important because it gives you direction.
Yeah.
And it also gives you meaning because I mean, you can't be living a dreamless life.
Yeah, that's true.
You obviously you have to. For me, I believe dreams are better days.
Yeah.
When we talk about better days, it's basically the dreams. So the life that you picture when you're no longer seeing everything. I think those are the better days. So you need to have direction, and it also gives you the energy to keep fighting, and it gives you to know the amount of energy that you're supposed to put in because of your dreams.
Yeah.
So living a life of dreams, I think that's a dead life, I would say.
True.
Everyone needs to have dreams at the end of the day. You need to know where you want to be in the next 10 years, the next 20 years. It gives you meaning and it gives you importance. It gives you direction. They say direction is far much important than speed. So if you might be living a fast life, but if there are no dreams, there are no visions, then I think it's futile at the end of the day. So dreams are better days.
No, that's very true. I love what you've shared. For me, when I think about a dream, I think of it as something that gives you reason to live. You see, because living on earth, you get to realize that problems never finish. But if you have a dream, it gives you a reason to stay with the problems you have.
Yes.
Push perfect. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the importance of having a dream. That is for me. Yeah. So when it comes to student politics, what are some of those qualities? Let's get into student politics because you've been in student politics before. You've held the topmost position in a highest institution in Zambia.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what are some of those qualities for someone who's watching out there? Let's break them down step by step. You need to be this. You need to have this. You need to be like this type of person. Let's talk about it.
So let me talk about myself. Student politics. One thing I've come to appreciate is for you to represent students, you need to have the energy. The energy must be there.
Yeah.
Student politics is all about the energy, the vibe that you give when you're speaking to them, when you're telling the monkeys, the monks. I will steal that statement.
Apology.
Monks spare me, yeah. So you need to have the energy when you're talking to the monks, Mormons. I think first thing is having the energy and the vibe.
Yeah.
If you look at the past leadership that we've had, going down from Ferigo, Nancy, Castro, Lawrence, Njikom Suku. We talk about even down up to Chris Kangombe.
Yeah.
You realize that there is one common thing, which is the energy. You need to have the energy.
Yeah.
And with student politics, you might not have the vision or anything, but if you have the energy. There's a high chance that you win the elections if you have the right energy.
Yeah.
So energy is I think it's very important to have energy, the vibe. Secondly, also you need to be a person who is social to the students.
Yeah.
You need to have a social life, and you need to be a good person. You also have to have a vision for the students, because this is a place where you have intellectuals. This is the cream de la cream of the country.
Yeah.
You have to convince them beyond doubt. So, okay, this is what I'm capable of doing.
Yeah.
So for me, I believe it's not a one-day job, a one-day thing. It's there that you come out in one day and students will believe in you in one day and win the elections. It has happened before, but it's there.
Yeah.
I believe it should be a lifestyle at the end of the day. From the second year, there are people who've been maybe class labs. They have shown their leadership from the Christian community.
Yeah.
They'll be leaders in different areas of the institution. Eventually, they get to the top position.
Yeah.
So it has to be a lifestyle where you talk to people, even the way you dress. The way you dress, it has to show that, okay, this one is a leader. Yes. The way you talk, the way you reason with students.
Yeah.
But most importantly, you need to be a good person to the students.
Yeah.
For people to follow you, I mean, it's not an easy thing for you to convince an intellectual. There must be something in you.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of qualities, but energy you obviously have to have a vision, have to be good to the students.
Yeah.
And you also have to appreciate the challenges that the populace is facing at that particular time. You also have to be strategic at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You need to understand times and seasons, what you need to do, because it's politics at the end of the day. You might position yourself strategically, but if you're not strategic, you might miss it. We've had student leaders who've positioned themselves strategically, but maybe they just missed one thing and
they lost it.
They lost it. Yeah. So you need to understand the student politics and the national politics. It's not only student politics, but you need to understand the national politics surrounding the institution.
Yeah.
Then once you understand the national politics, I think it becomes easy for you to be now in a good position to strike. And obviously, you get to go to the flatlet or to the single rooms.
Yeah, no, that you know, being a student leader is not something easy. So you people who do it, it's kudos to you. We take our hats off. You know, I've talked about the hat. There's the hat that you wear.
The barret.
It's called the barret. Yeah. What inspired that? As Umulopa, what inspired the barret?
So that only symbolizes that I'm a combatant. You are a soldier in the struggle.
Yeah.
And I got that from people that inspire me at content level, or people that they are late, but I still look up to them. People like Thomas Sankara.
Yeah.
He used to wear most of the times to barret. We have Marcus Garvey, people like that. And we've got the street soldiers, obviously, Tupac and the other. Yeah. So the barret only symbolizes that you're a battalion, you're a soldier in the struggle.
True.
And you're fighting to, obviously, for a better cause.
True.
So that only symbolizes the military heart that I have, and also the energy to keep fighting for a better life at the end of the day. So when you wear the barret, it gives you the energy to keep fighting, and it gives you the spirit of a soldier.
Yeah.
To keep fighting, no matter the situation, you keep fighting, not until you see a better day at the end of the day.
That was a really good aesthetic. It gave people confidence, I'll tell you.
Yes.
Yeah, personally, when I saw that photo, I was like, okay, now this is a leader.
Yeah.
That's what the barret did for me.
Yeah.
No, it was a good antique. And you find that many leaders have got that something that symbolizes them.
Yes.
Our president, we know when he wears the white gloves, he means business.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's a good thing that you had that for yourself.
Yes.
So now we're still building up, yeah? So you did student politics. And then when you are president of an institution like the mighty Copperbelt University, yeah, obviously there are certain things that you have to look out for, certain things, certain promises you made to the students. I know the students, there's some who are still here, who are in your reign.
Yes.
There are some students. So what are some of those things that you managed to achieve while you were president of Copperbelt University?
The institution? I think one of the biggest thing that I promised the students was to curb the water challenge on campus.
Yeah.
That was a bigger vision. It was a dream. Okay, where am I going to start from?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say hi, because
yeah,
it was a team. Yes. We engaged so many institutions.
Yeah.
Started with Tradekins. We wanted to do commercial boreholes.
Yeah.
Started with Tradekins, went to NACOSU, went to Zanaco, we engaged Absa Bank.
Yeah.
We engaged the subsidiary of Tradekins, Big Tree. I think we engaged quite enough. Even ZNS we engaged.
Yeah.
Then lastly, I was making engagement with the provincial minister. Unfortunately, the president was coming to the Copperbelt to donate commercial boreholes to different parts of Kitwe. I think about 30 boreholes.
Yeah.
When I made engagement with the provincial minister, we started making engagement with the office of the president.
Yeah.
Office of the president, and the project was approved, except there were other things that we didn't see when we were putting the whole project together. So, and that's how we managed to bring the president. I think the president was scheduled to come 2 months later.
Yeah.
And through the office of the provincial minister, we managed to bring the president. I think that was in 2 weeks' time, because the situation was bad on the ground.
Yeah.
So the president came through on the ground. I think I was there when he was commissioning bores in Bulangililo and other parts of Kitwe.
Yeah.
Then eventually we came to CBU. We managed to commission the 3 boreholes, I think 10,000 liters each.
Yeah,
we sank the boreholes. Yeah, except there are a few components that we didn't put in place, because we did the quotation and everything, with the engineering and Nkana water, and the pipes were procured, the tanks and everything, and they were elected actually. So there was only one challenge which wasn't sorted out. The issue of, because we wanted the water to be circulating in the entire institution. We just connect it to the main system and it starts to circulate. So now the issue is that we wanted to connect it to Nkana. So we connected it to Nkana, but then there was one component that was missing, that is supposed to be sending water to one side, so that when there's no water, when there's no Nkana water, the water does not go to Nkana pipes. It should go to the institutions. So the challenge that was there was, when there's no Nkana water, the water would go into Nkana instead of coming to the EAC. So there was one component that was missing that we were supposed to procure. We put at the junction there, so that it only allows water to go one direction instead of two directions. So that component that ruined the whole project. But I think the balls are already there, and if you go there, you can fetch from there. But the project, I think I would say it's somewhere around 90% completion. Except I haven't made a few follow-ups to make sure that that component is put, so that we can completely curb the challenge. Then also one thing that Lady worked on, except it didn't go through, was the issue of COBUSU offices. COBUSU offices, we managed to secure resources with the Islamic community, which is the Muslims. So through the Islamic community at CBU, because they lodged a complaint to my office saying, no, we don't have a place where we meet from, because we meet frequently, maybe 3-4 times, 5 times a day. So we need a place, and I said, okay, let's do a deal where we can source for funding from your place. Source for funding, then we do a COBUSU complex, which will have offices, and obviously we can spare some space where you can be meeting from. And we managed to secure for resources from Tradekins, I think, not Tradekins, from the Muslims. And they gave us a construction company. We went to the institution. I think the only thing that was pending was the institution to give us a place where we can construct from. But then, one thing that I can, one thing that I can tell you is that the COBUSU tenure is too short.
It's too short. I was actually going to get into that.
It's too short. I think for me, we had challenges, we had court cases. When I was going into office, I think we were sworn in, I think 1 month later from the initial date that was agreed. Then I was in office somewhere in February, end of February. Then I left office early July. I think that was 4 to 5 months. So we left most of the works in the pipeline. I think we were working on the ambulance as well. We managed to secure an ambulance from CC. Except we had some technicalities. You know, there are things that you as a student, as a common student, that you can't see. But when you get into the offices, that's when you understand, okay, this is the system. There's the system, and there's you. There's management, and there are a lot of barriers between you and your goals actually. So we made an engagement with CC, except we had some technicalities. Then we also made engagement with the government, of which we managed to secure an ambulance. I think that's the time the conversation for the school ambulance started. We managed to secure the ambulance with the Minister of Local Government through CDF, because government by then had procured, I think, 156
ambulances,
160 ambulances, and we have, I think, 156 constituencies. So the 4 extra ambulances were told to say, okay, 1 will come to CBU. The ambulances were procured by then. I even saw the paperwork at the Ministry of Health and at the Ministry of Local Government. Except I don't know what happened at the ministry, but I'm told I think sooner or later the ambulance will be delivered to the institution. So I think we worked on that as well. Then and a few other projects that were in the pipeline, and a few other projects that we achieved. I think as time goes by, I need to recall. But I think those are some of the things that we managed to touch there and then. But the biggest thing there was I think an ambulance. I think I'm still making engagement with the current leadership on how far the issue has gone, because the school ambulance it's not in good shape as it is right now, and it's an essential, very important equipment of the institution. So for that one, I think we need to work hand in hand together with the students. Obviously, I think the COBUSU is as powerful as the students. It's the students that makes the COBUSU powerful. When students are united together with the COBUSU, then you have a strong union. But if the students are not united, definitely even the COBUSU will be affected. So it starts from a united force. When we're speaking in one voice, moving in a single direction, then definitely we can achieve a number of things.
You know, one thing that has struck out about me is the fact that even after your tenure as president, you know, you're now out here, you're still able to follow up these issues. It's like you still have the heart for CBU.
Yeah, definitely, because these are projects that I actually started, and I would love to see them come to reality. Yes, when I see them, even if I might not be there, I might be just in the background, but for me, it's going to be a plus on my end. So, okay, this is something that I saw, and this is something that I started pushing for, but then it has come to completion, and I'll be proud. I think that for me, that's the whole agenda. We are CBU, we are one, and we'll always be CBU. So yeah.
No, that is good. Now let's move on a step further. We're going to the national level, the National Council for Student Unions.
Yes.
You are the vice chairman?
Chairperson.
Chairperson. Now, congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
No, that's amazing. And so, what are some of those feats that the National Council is doing that's going to directly benefit? Let's bring it home to CBU.
Right. So,
and just explain to the students what the council is, just for someone who doesn't understand that. What's this council?
So, the National Council of Students Union, which is headed by Chairman Chizombe, it is the mother body of all students' union across the country. So, students leaders, they come together from different institutions, and they form what we call NACOSU, which is the National Council of Students Union. And basically, the job of the mandate of NACOSU is to spearhead student affairs at a national level. As I'm speaking right now, we've made an agreement with the Ministry of Education to say students across the country who are not having resources, they should be allowed to sit for their final exams. At least maybe they have paid to a certain percentage, not as much as of other challenges, obviously, that students are facing. So for this one, I think National Council has actually released a memo to different student unions so that they register the time and period that they will have exams, and also maybe the main challenges concerning the exams. So this is just basically one of the agendas of NACOSU. So it hasn't come to 100% completion, this project, but then what we are seeing is we want to have an agreement with the all institutions, the management. I think COBUSU University has actually responded to that letter, and they have actually allowed students, are going to allow students who've been paid to some percentage to sit for exams.
No, that's amazing.
So that's an agenda for the country. The union, the student union, is basically there obviously for the institution, but for NACOSU, when we push an agenda, it affects all the institutions across the country. So it's there to speak for institutions. Sometimes might be having a challenge. Let's say as a union president, you engage your management and you feel like the response isn't enough. You run to NACOSU, say, okay, NACOSU, there is this challenge at my institution, and I have presented it to management, but then management hasn't responded. So what do we do? Okay, NACOSU will sit down and say, okay, what can you do? Okay, we engage the Ministry of Education, maybe we engage the university management, then from there we engage the university council, and if we don't see results, then we'll push it to higher authorities. So when we come together as NACOSU, it becomes more impactful than a single union president. So NACOSU is just there basically to we have the same responsibility of the student union, except it's at a national level. So it's basically there to speak for students and specifically student unions across the country.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations once more. I watched the clip where you gave a very powerful submission in the council chambers.
Oh yeah,
it was in parliament. That was very powerful.
Yeah, that was a youth parliament organized by NACOSU. Yes,
that was very
we usually
powerful.
have sessions every year. We have sessions for youth parliament where we bring together the student leaders from different institutions, the youths from different parts of the country. Then we sit together, then we debate the national matters as youths and as student leaders.
That's good. That is good. That is good. So now, Mr. Bright,
yes,
we are progressing. We're building this. We're letting the people into these things. Yeah. So let's backtrack a little bit. Otherwise, what are some of those benefits of being in leadership as president? Let's talk about that. That you've seen for yourself. I thought, okay, because I'm president, has allowed for me to do this, that. What are some of those benefits?
Obviously there's the good side and the bad side.
Yeah.
So most people focus on the good side, minus looking at the bad side. But there is always the bad side. True. But for the good side, obviously, you get to be exposed. Exposure becomes your daily thing.
True.
Because you have opportunities to sit on tables with different people from different parts of the country. You have an opportunity to also familiarize yourself with conference rooms.
Yeah.
Because you spend most of the time discussing issues, and also you also have an opportunity to have the exposure on how to analyze, on how to reason with elder people, with different levels of I would say levels of society.
Yeah.
So you have the exposure. Obviously, you get to meet prominent people, with people that you used to look up to.
Yeah.
Maybe if you play your cards right, you'll be known by State House.
True.
You'll be known by State House. You'll be known by the president. You have an opportunity to sit with a minister and obviously challenge him on some matters. The opportunity to sit with management, the vice chancellor, and discuss issues pertaining the institution and issues pertaining the nation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it will also give you the skill of resolving issues. Because you're there to solve challenges that students are facing. And also you also know how to interact with people, different people, because you'll be interacting with different students, students from this place, different backgrounds coming to you. I've got challenges, ABCD.
Yeah.
You also learn how to manage your time because you have meetings, you have COBUSU. Actually, COBUSU is still maybe even 89% of your time.
Yes. But you're still a student.
Yes, but you're still a student. And a long time ago, if you're in COBUSU, you have a lower passing mark than these other students.
Oh yeah.
Maybe for maybe some 15, 16 years ago, union leaders used to have maybe 40%, 35%.
Yeah.
You get that will be the passing mark for union leaders because of the engagement. But this time it's basically one and the same.
Everyone.
You're expected to put in actually more even these other students because you're known.
True.
When you miss classes, the lecturer will know that you submit something which is not of substance, obviously, to be sent back to you. And you have issues with lecturers most of the time because some lecturers don't like students who are in student politics because they believe that you are here for school and your focus should only be school. And worse off, sometimes you might worsen the situation when you begin to miss a lot of classes.
Yeah.
So you have that character of managing your time, because if you don't manage your time, you're gone.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you're from a meeting and the class. You change your class, you go to a meeting. Sometimes you miss some classes, some of the classes. Then maybe during your weekends, then you have to be catching up because maybe the entire week you've been away. I remember I think I went away for about 2 weeks. I was in Muchinga province. I used to go to Lusaka maybe even 3-4 times in a month. I used to attend different meetings just within. So even within Kitwe, within the Copperbelt, and also within the institution. And also most of the times you're tired as a student.
True.
So you lose the focus, you lose the grip with your academics. But at the end of the day, you still have to learn how to manage your time, and you still have to learn how to manage yourself at the end of it.
Yeah.
So some of those opportunities or benefits of being in the union. Maybe people think there is money in COBUSU.
Yeah, I was even going to get into that. I was going to get into that.
Some people think
they actually want to take up student leadership as a way for financial gain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that as a union leader, when you go outside school, you get when you go outside school, you get a 120 per day, and for accommodation, it's a 300 kwacha.
Yeah.
According to school policy. So 120, that's 420 per day. Then if you are in Lusaka, you get a lodge maybe a 400.
Yeah.
Then you're getting a 420. That's inclusive food and accommodation. You're taking there obviously with school transport. That's just when it comes to the allowances.
Yeah.
You get. The gratuity at the end of the academic year, you get maybe there's just a small percentage, and it's shared among us the union leaders. The president, the vice president, and the speaker get the same amount, and these others get also a different amount. But then I remember, I think I walked away with the 2/8, 3 pin.
Yeah,
that's at the end of the academic year.
Yeah.
So those are the only fixed benefits. For me, I wouldn't say benefits. I don't know, upkeeps or anything, because you as a student did actually you spend more than sometimes you gain from the COBUSU, because sometimes students who come, I don't have where to sleep, I don't have, you give, okay, no workers compound, there's no electricity, there's ABCD, so there are a lot of challenges that you face as a union president, and sometimes you can't go to the COBUSU and get a tomato. You can't go to the COBUSU and just buy, a small cookie, a bottle of cookie oil as COBUSU president. Those students think,
the top. You have to show something.
Yeah. So you first, and most of the times you can't even get on a bus.
Yeah.
Going to town.
True.
So most of the time it's a yango.
Yeah.
Going to town and coming back to town, you use a yango. You get, sometimes even just going to these other places. So you discover that you are losing more than you are getting at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if you're not strategic, and if you don't have other means of income, then you realize that COBUSU president now even darama. Because you want to meet that standard which is there.
True.
Even your outfit, you have to look smart as a president. Yes, you have to look good.
Now
so students expect so much from you, but you get so little. So, and these are some of the things that used to make our past leaders say, dip their fingers into the coffers. Though it's difficult, because you as COBUSU president, you don't have 100% control of the resources. Because for you to withdraw money, the signature of the dean has to be there. It's your signature and the finance minister's signature. So you can't get money on your own from the coffers. So, and also the subscription for CBU, it's too little. For COBUSU, it's 35 kwacha. But if you go to places like Unza, Rungushi, most of them is 175. So you discover that in the coffers you only have maybe 250,000 kwacha, you have a 300,000 kwacha. But then you have 14 ministries that you have to share this money equally, and you have to make sure that, let's say for example, I'll give an example for Minister of Entertainment. I'll tell you that COBUSU has never hosted an event that is completely funded by COBUSU. Mostly you are just in conjunction with obviously other the main funders. Yes, because you realize that the budget for the Ministry of Entertainment this academic maybe just 25,000. Getting your maps, it's over 60,000. So, and also getting a good PA system.
That's money.
Maybe 45,000 kwacha. So COBUSU on its own can't even learn most of the activities in school because of it's underfunded. We need to increase the subscription, and also we need to make sure that the resources are utilized diligently and according to the constitution of the institution. So those are some of the benefits. But then for the resources, I wouldn't say there are resources there. It depends on how you position yourself, and it also depends on how you work with obviously the other parties involved, and And also, most importantly, yourself, you have to have at least other means, because there are a lot of temptations in COBUSU, I'll tell you, because you have these students approaching you and say, I'm going to 10 pin the which level. But then you even know that, okay, at this point in time, rooms are done. So if you're not honest when you're working, we're working a bit, or you discover that you even squander the money for the students, and that's why you hear a lot of stories. This one, because you have the influence, and when you tell a student, say, I can push for you this, students will believe you.
They'll believe you.
You are the president. Sometimes you don't even have the power. There's no power in COBUSU, to be honest with you. There's no power. Just a position where you at least contribute. You don't even make decisions.
The voice of the students.
You just contribute. You don't even make decisions. You get. Management runs the institution, and you are just there to contribute. You might influence some of the decisions, but not 100%. You get. It's just an input, and you say this is the position of students. Okay. But then, if you're not careful, COBUSU might ruin your life. We've had presidents where, by even maybe money meant for ABCD, they squander. But then when you are there, you have to be careful. You have to make sure that you don't live outside the means. You don't have to live outside your means, and you have to make sure that you spend where it's necessary and not where it's not necessary. You get. So when you become excited, you discover that when you're put in that position, parents will be calling and say, my son doesn't have a sponsorship. How do I go about it? No, I have a 20,000. You get. I need sponsorship. So if you're not careful, you discover that you lose it, because when you get that money and it goes out, it will haunt you for your entire life. You get.
That's true.
So it is important that when you go in COBUSU, you definitely have to understand that you're not going there for the money. You're going there to serve the students, to get exposed, and there's a lot of growth in there. This one, I think, I'll tell you that the most important thing that I benefited from COBUSU is growth. I encountered growth in thinking in all the aspects of my life. Financially, how to manage my resources in COBUSU, because I knew that I can't spend a day minus a 2,000 kwacha per pocket. Because sometimes you just fence. Sometimes just maybe you're coming from a Finlo, you're on a bus. The bus breaks down. You call management, and management saying, okay, our mechanic is coming, but then you take 3 hours, 2 hours.
With students.
That's at last you just jump into your pockets, get them to Malosa to be let's go. Then the bus will follow us. You get. So as COBUSU president, it's important that you don't have to be moving without cash. You don't get paid, but you expected to have money at the end of the day. So that's the reality in COBUSU. But there are so many benefits away from the money. If you look at it from the financial point of view, I think you mess it up. Not only that, you steal. But when you look at it from the growth point of view and the exposure point of view, I think you maximize and you benefit a lot.
That's amazing. I love that you've been very brutally honest, rather. You've really touched on things that it just takes heart to be a leader, actually. If you're looking at it for monetary gain or anything else, it won't work. If you need to have a heart for the people. So now you are president, and then we just recently had the graduation. And then we saw the man, the legend, Mr. Bright J. Ngalamika, on motorcycles. Students, they want to know, like, what is the thought behind that? What prompted you to come on a motorcycle?
I think for me, I just wanted to appreciate some of my times when I was growing up. Kabwe is surrounded by farms. And I think my mother, she's so much into farming. So when I was young, most of the times we used to get on bikes going to the farm, because some roads are not passable. So when growing up, I used to enjoy bikes. My neighbor, they had a bike, and I think that's where I learned how to ride a bike. So for me, at that point in time, I just wanted to reminisce and appreciate where I was coming from, and I think and also just to make the entry, I think a bit fancy, but most importantly, it was just basically appreciate those days we used to go to the farm. Yeah, because we used to use the bike.
I think I saw a post that you might have dislocated your shoulder or something.
Yeah, yeah. At that point in time, because I didn't want to have to make a lot of noise in school.
Yeah.
Due to the meeting that I had prior to the graduation. I had a meeting. Yeah. So I was trying to manage the situation, but then I couldn't manage the situation.
Yeah.
Because when I entered, we went outside at the march past near the office of the VC. A lot of students. Students were following me. So they forced me, password. Not until I gave the password. Immediately I gave the password.
Before you know it,
flying. Yeah. So, but then I think I think they made the graduation ceremony to be so interesting. You know, there is that energy at CBU.
No other university does like CBU.
There is that energy. It's different, and I received a lot of calls. CBU would work like cafe. Yeah. They. I think I remember one of my friends. The parents or the family couldn't make it to the graduation. Yeah. Then he was telling me, "Boy, usually." I came for the graduation alone, but I wasn't feeling lonely because of the students, the support. You get when you meet any student, whether they know or don't know you,
they cheer for you.
Yeah. So the energy is I think it's the day was so magical. They made it so interesting. The support. I think that's the culture of CBU. We have to keep the culture. The culture shouldn't die. So that day, I think it was so amazing, and that was a beautiful exit.
Yeah, no, it was.
It was a beautiful
one
exit.
For the textbooks, one to remember.
Yeah. Definitely.
No, congratulations on your graduation also.
Thank you so much.
So that is good. Now, after school now, you've graduated. So at this point, what are some of the things you're doing? Let's talk about it now.
I would love to go into detail, but at this point in time, I've become more of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, I think my job for now is basically to create employment.
Okay.
And I must make mention that the journey started on a good note. I appreciate God for that. I think God has been so good to me. And at least I think at this point in time, I'm talking about I have 10 workers.
Okay.
More than 10 workers, so to say, from different places. And I'm becoming more of an entrepreneur on the ground that I want to create employment, because I know that when I create employment, if I have 10 people, it means that I have 10 families looking up to me. I'm contributing to 10 different families. So I'm doing a few businesses there, and then also I want to get back to school. I want to do my master's. So I'm more of a businessman this time.
Now, no, it's very important, and I think the aspect where students need to take up these roles or these opportunities is because we tend to find out that when you go out there, you graduate, employment is very hard to come by. Even if you have a degree, you find that it's not enough. You get it, huh? You have a degree, the company also wants experience.
Yes.
You say, next, there's someone with a master's who's in line waiting for you. So you find that it's important for students to take up entrepreneurship roles, to take up leadership roles, so that at least they've got something else to do.
Yeah. So I think it is very important as you're in your university, you need to find something that will still keep you going, even without an employment. I think as young people, we need to have a mindset of saying you can still survive without formal employment. So in university, we've got people who started business, and even after university, that business is still sustaining them. They have created employment. So for me, I believe in the saying that magnet keeps using. I love magnet.
I also love magnet very much.
So it keeps saying, education is a behavior. It's more of a behavior and not the paper itself.
True.
So when you're educated, it has to show in your behavior that you are educated.
True.
So for me, I appreciate CBU because it has built me in such a way that I'm able to survive anywhere. We outside CBU, for me, I think I'm doing well. I can't lie. God is blessing me. Outside CBU, I'm still surviving, and I think for me, my dream has never been to be in a formal industry. Because to tell you the truth, I've had a number of opportunities. the month that I finished, I had, I think, 2-3 opportunities.
Yeah.
Except the money wasn't
convincing.
The money was okay, but I want a lot of money. You get, if you have an opportunity, if you have an opportunity to make money, just make money.
True, that is true.
So I had 2-3 opportunities there, and then I pushed for other opportunities. Went to ministries because I am connected. I know a number of people. Get, so made few calls there and then, but I remember the conversation that changed my perspective.
Yeah, I like that. This is the change of perspective podcast, guys.
I had a conversation with the Minister of Trade and Commerce, Honorable Chipoka.
Yeah,
I was there for an opportunity. You get. So he told me, I'm so surprised. I'm so disappointed with you because you've come here to say this is what you want. When I was expecting you to be creating employment. So we had a very deep conversation, and when I left his office, I went to my place. I think that was in Lusaka. I went to my sister's place. I sat down and I realized, say, no, I have the capacity to do my own things. Yeah. And I'm young. I think, you know, the one thing that I think is stopping people from being an entrepreneur or doing business is because of the risks involved. Yeah. Because most of the people tell you, no, when you get a job, you have the security, but you get stuck in the name of security, job security. You get. Yeah. In business, obviously, security in the beginning, the early stage of the business isn't guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed, you know, and that's one thing. Sorry to cut you short, but like my mom always tells me, like, her biggest mistake was getting employed in government. Because since then she hasn't had the opportunity to do other things. Yes. Because she's stuck in that mindset. Yeah. Yeah. So you can go on.
So for me, I believe, and the only time that you're able to take big risks is the time when you're single, you're not married, you get, as a youth. Yeah. Because you're only risking your life and not
the lives of others.
Yes. But when you are married, everything changes because you have to do it for the family and things. So at this point in time, for me, I feel like I'm so young to try out a lot of things, and so far so good. We're getting there. But my message to the students out there is, prepare. You need to prepare for society, and when I say prepare, you don't have to only believe in your uncle. My uncle is going to connect me. Sometimes people stop picking up calls.
True. That is very true.
They were picking up calls when you were in university, but immediately the year you graduated, they stop picking up calls. And sometimes you might even blame others. Say, I've got a friend. The father works in Zesco. Yeah. So him is not working. So when he came to me, I was telling him, boy, I'm sharing the career. Then I was telling him, boy, do you know that I understand the system for Zesco? There's management. Yeah. Zesco is centralized.
True.
They make decisions in Lusaka. And in these other areas, they just follow instructions. And even if you might be working for Zesco in Lusaka, but you discover that even if you're working from Lusaka, but you're not at the main office that side, you might be still at the main office, but you're not the main guy. Yes. Yeah. So I was telling my friend, say, what about the I'm sure. And if your father had an opportunity to put you in the system,
he would have.
Obviously.
And then I think it's also just the issue of taking responsibility. Definitely. I think we as youths need to stop playing the blame game. We need to stop blaming others and just go on the ground there. Sometimes we tend to think that, okay, you know what, I'm learned, I can't do certain things. Yes. I need to just find a job. Then that locks us. Yes. So I think we need to take very full ownership of our own lives, full ownership of our own decisions, so that we make something of ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's I think for me, I'll tell you that when I was starting my businesses outside school, it was hard for me because being a former COBUSU president, being the Umuropa, being a graduate from the School of Engineering, because my business involved me to go on the ground. Yeah. So sometimes students would find me in a short with slippers.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes. Maybe I'm that side, move chan with the bricklayers and other people. You just messed up, you get. And students will find, I will power that license. And you get. But then I knew to say, if I look at it to say, students, those people won't feed me at the end.
No,
they'll talk, and they'll get back to their lives, and it will be me against my life at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I had to go down on the ground, start on the ground. Whatever you have, be it there's a taxi at home. Some people, I have a lot of friends. One of my friends called me, I think 2 days. What job na inshupa Shanshan connect me and go Zamtel Shanshan. Yeah. I said, what? Oh, your boy. I usually see him with a Vitz. Yeah. He's got a driver's license. At home there's a Vitz. I said, your boy, but you can start from there. You can start from there. That is you can go on the you can put it by angle yourself doing it. Yeah. You get that would be a foundation, and believe me, if you're disciplined, in 1 year or less, you're able to buy another one. True. In 3 years, I think is very true. You registered with Pakra and you begin to get contracts and other things. So we have to start from where we are. True. Yeah. I think one thing that also holds us back is that the fact that people are afraid of starting small. For some reason, they want to start with Jira, which highlights. You see, and they don't. You can end up making too much mistakes. So if we have the ability to start small, to start from where we are, I think that will push us forward even faster. Yeah. So the point is, as a graduate, you have to survive with or without formal employment. Yeah. That's the point. Yeah. And I think the time is now, as when you are a student, that's the best time to prepare. Yeah. That's the best time to prepare, not when you graduate. Because when you graduate, you have people looking up to you. True. You have a lot of people looking up to you, and you become frustrated. And that's the reason why I have a lot of youths who are frustrated. Yeah. You see a graduate just getting drunk and everything. No. We need to get on the ground. Yeah. We need to have things moving. If there is some piece of land, others. I think one of the friends that I sat with during the graduation was telling me his father is at the farm. Yeah. His father's got a very big piece of land. You get, and he's got the machinery. You get. So the only thing that he needs is basically the resources to maybe to get the seed to get started. But machinery is the most important things are the machinery and the land is there. You get. But then if you have the will, you can do anything. Find the there's the will, there's the way. Yes. So I was telling him, so are you telling me you just want to work for Stanbic? There's a guy, I think the guy did the business program. You just want to work for Stanbic, you want to work for ABCD. For me, I feel like it's important, when I'm working for myself and I have a problem with my business and I solve that problem, it will directly benefit me in the business. True. But when I'm managing a company which belongs to other people, and when there's a challenge, because you are employed to think on behalf of someone. Yeah. So I would rather get stuck there, but I know when I pull through, it's going to benefit me and my family. Yeah. So I'm not saying people shouldn't go into formal employment, but we must be in a position whereby if things don't go A, at least B should be the plan and it should work out. Yeah. So with or without formal employment, we have to contribute to this great nation. Yeah. And also looking at my future aspirations, I'm a politician. I love politics. Yeah, you love politics. And Cabo is where I come from. Yeah. And one day I will represent. I'm not saying I dream to represent, but I'm saying I will represent the people of Cabo Central. Yeah. So I am positioning myself strategically towards that goal. Yeah. And I'm working towards it, putting some pieces together, and also being realistic with the dream. So, because you need the resources if you have to go at national level. Yeah. You need resources. Obviously, you have to know a certain group of people, and also you need the people on the ground. Yeah. So I'm working on that one, and I think sooner or later I'll hit the ground in Kabwe, and also just to make sure that we continue with the leadership thing. Yeah. I'm born and bred a politician. Yes. Well, wow, that was an amazing conversation. Well, friends, there you had it. We had Mr. Bright J. Ngalamika on the Change Your Perspective podcast. It's been an amazing conversation. We could go on for on and on and on, but whatever goes up must come down. So thank you so much for watching. Remember, I'm your host, Mwansam Sonda. Big was 5th year aeronautical engineering. Till next time.